Okay, beta patch notes, version 0.110, which I assume means this is big. We went up a whole another digit. Another beta patch just dropped. This one contains a host of balance changes and reworks. Notably, Mirage and Pillar of Creation have been reverted back to their pre-0.109 versions and have also been slightly buffed and nerfed respectively. Okay, I kind of like the new Mirage, but that's unfortunate. We've also implemented a brand new feature in this patch, a keyboard-only control option, so be sure to let us know what you think if you try it out. In terms of art, many cards have new polished portrait art, and excitingly, characters now have visual effects for their unique forms. Okay, that is very cool. I assume this is just Demon Wraith Reaper form. Content and balance. Ancients, buff Niao's Abundance card now always creates upgraded powers. Upgrade change to lower energy cost by 1. Okay, so the problem with this before was basically that it just like took way too long to pay off. I don't think that's really changed, but maybe now it's like worth caring a little bit more. I still think this is usually pretty bad. You're just like taking a curse in the early section of the game, which is the part where you need the power the most to get the run under control. So I assume this is not doing a whole lot, but maybe I'll have to play with it and actually see. Rework Tezcatar's Toasty Mittens relic, thank God. At the start of your turn, exhaust the top card of your draw pile and gain 1 strength. At the start of your turn, exhaust 1 card from your hand and gain 1 strength. Okay, that actually has a lot of cool stuff and also just like murders glass now. You just exhaust the withers and like your statuses. That is really, really, really strong, right? You usually can toss something away. And also if you have like machine learning or something, this is basically just going to be tyranny with a little bit more work. Obviously, gaining 1 strength is gross. Silent really likes this to just have like insane scaling where otherwise you normally lack this. Like very easy access to strength scaling is going to break a lot of things. That is crazy. Also, we buffed Tezcatar's Seal of Gold. Gold loss decreased from 5 to 3, which is really, really, really impactful. I don't think this is actually that bad now. You are still kind of losing maybe like 9 to 15 gold a fight and not really making it back up. But this is essentially just going to mean that you're not really making gold outside of like events and chests, but you're also not like losing it. And also in the boss fights where the fights are longer, you're not going to like run out as early. Still, probably people are not going to pick this over like premium stuff, but I can see this being a lot more pickable now. Okay, Nona Pepe's beautiful bracelet relic change. Cards and tangent increased from 3 to 4. Sotomat decreased from 3 to 2. I think Nave actually suggested this in the most recent podcast episode. Change the number to 2. Making this go to 4 is arguably just as strong. You have less of a chance of actually bricking all of the Swift cards now. And if you get any of these in play, it's going to be really good and they can chain into each other. Its total draw is 1 less. 4x2 is 8 and 3x3 is 9. So you have 1 less total draw. So overall, I don't think this is that big of a nerf, really. I think this is just kind of like a side grade / change. Maybe you have less stuff you want to enchant, but also there's this problem where if you chained a bunch of these together, you could run out of hand space, and now that's probably not going to happen. So maybe you're not wasting draws as often, and this is just going to be as good as it was before, basically. Okay, buffed fur coat. Marked card mats increased from 7 to 8. I don't think this really changes the issue with this, where it just doesn't really provide you that much value into the boss fights. If you are actually able to fight things consistently, then you don't really care about this, and you can't really like do a whole lot of cheese. This is only really if you were really, really weak. Okay, Nona Pepe's Signet Ring Relic, gold decrease from 999 to 888. Okay, we lose the 999 memes from Spire 1. That is like a huge flavor fail, but probably warranted. Still really strong. This much gold is just enough to win the run as is. I don't think you ever really cared that much. You're walking into 2 shops and still spending 500 gold at every shop, so I don't think it changes anything. Okay, Relax buffed. Block increased from 15 to 17 to 16 to 18. Notably, this does stun the Bullbug now without weakness or anything, so that is a huge deal for that. The upgrades on these are also just really good in general, but you now block the bug without needing the upgrade, and that's huge. So before you were really only taking these with like Toxic Egg for the most part, or some other interaction, maybe like Ice Cream, Pocket Watch, whatever. This is much more pickable as just a generic thing to not get owned in the hallways now. This is going to save quite a bit of HP, not just from the one block, but specifically that one fight as well, and the few other fights where Bullbug shows up as well. Okay, Whistle buff, cost decrease from 3 to 2. Okay, that is really, really big. You can now play like a power on the same turn that Whistle's deployed, so you're not just passing your turn. You're actually able to do other stuff. So this is just Vault. This is essentially just add Vault into your deck, and Vault unupgraded in Spire 1 was a much worse card than Vault upgraded. And this is essentially just what that is. I don't know if it's worth a full boss relic compared to the other stuff that Tanks gives. I see some buffs down below to Maul as well. Maul damage scaling increased from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, which is very significant. Again, this was another I need Molten Egg to pick these things. And if I'm picking them, I'm super desperate, but that's a huge damage increase. 50% without an upgrade. I guess 200% if you want to think about it like that. Really, really good. Reverted Valky's Fiddle Relic. I said this in the last patch notes. This went from 2 to 3 and now it's back 3 to 2. That this was never going to last more than a patch, and I was correct. This was way, way, way too strong. I do think that this is going to have the effect, though, of because they buffed it now and everyone said it was way too strong, that people are now just going to pick the same fiddle again and realize that the 2 cards is really strong as well. People are just going to play with it more often, and I think understand that this is actually just a really good relic. But this is way more in line with what it needed to be balanced. Okay, Ironclad, buff Mangle card, damage increase from 15 to 20 to 20 to 26. That is pretty significant. 5 damage increase. Early game, that's going to matter a lot. If you're playing this just as a block card, you're not going to care that much, but this is a big bonk now. It really is. More comparable to like unupgraded Carnage or maybe just a regular Carnage, whatever, that also maybe blocks. This is Spire 1 card that just did a bunch of damage, and that's pretty much what this is now. Really pickable early now, and I think quite good, actually. Okay, Pax End card buff, damage increase from 17 to 23 to 18 to 24. This card is already pretty good, but I think the package surrounding Pax End is worse just because we're not doing infinite looping stuff, and that's where this card really was super good, is you could like have a 0-cost payoff. I don't think this matters that much. I think this card is still really good when it's good, obviously. But it was good when it was good beforehand. It didn't really need it. The numbers look a little bit better, I guess. 18 feels better for rounding as well, so I don't mind too much, but quite a strange increase. I guess they just had some internal data, maybe that this card was not getting picked very often or something. Okay, Silent, reworked Haze card. Uncommon skill, cost 3. Sly, apply 4 to 6 poison to all enemies. To uncommon skill, cost 2. Apply 4 to 6 poison and 1 to 2 weak to all enemies. Okay, so this is just Crippling Cloud, basically. Which is... It's nerfed because it does not weaken for 2 without the upgrade. And the actual damage increase on the cloud is less than it was in Spire 1. So for people that didn't know, it was 4 to 7 in Spire 1 and just 2 weak blanket completely. And this looks to be just something you can actually play now. And it lost Sly notably. So we'll see if something else got Sly to compensate. But this is just something you can pick up and play and is really good artifact strip. I think this is a really good way to bridge into poison and also just like decent early weak. A good supplement to having fumes, good artifact strip for your like suppress or whatever it is that you're going to pick, or, you know, any other weakness that you need. Silent just needs to get artifact strips on the bosses really to get weak down. And this is a very good and efficient way to do that while not being bad in hallways. Okay. Reworked Outbreak card into a rare skill. Uncommon, power cost 1. Whenever you apply poison, deal 4 to 5 damage to all enemies. To rare skill, cost 3. Apply 9 to 12 poison to all enemies. Poison triggers immediately. So I assume this just means that you have AoE right away, and then you also get a second poison proc at the end of your turn like normal. I assume that this doesn't like eat your poison proc, but we'll have to see. If this really just reads like 9 plus 8 poison, then that's pretty okay for Silent just having early game like hallway clearing. And that makes the upgrade very good. This is not really a 3 damage upgrade in that case. It is more significant than that. It's like 5. Seems quite good, actually. 3 energy is very steep for Silent to actually play. So we'll see. I don't know how often you can actually justify picking this, but it will wipe some hallways. And late game, really not going to be doing all that much. I think this is sort of... Maybe if you have a lot of poison on the enemy already and then you play this and it just like basically doubles the damage, because essentially it's not saying that this poison applies immediately. It's that all poison goes immediately, right? So if you have like fumes on the enemy and like 30, poison on somebody, then this could potentially be doing way more damage, like 70 damage or something. So it could be like kind of a finisher card in bosses if you are able to actually stack poison up or something. Okay, reworked and renamed Scare card to Sidestep. Uncommon skill cost 0. Apply 1 weak to all enemies. Exhaust, lose exhaust. To uncommon skill cost 0. Next turn, gain 1 to 2 energy. Okay, so we kind of just reworked some naming stuff, but this is essentially just the outmaneuver card that we had last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess. Just renamed differently, maybe for flavor reasons. But this is like Mirage, basically, from last patch. I do really like this card in general. And I guess what they did here is they changed Mirage back down below. They said they reverted back to its previous version, gains block based on enemy poison again, no longer exhausts. I think maybe they're trying to increase the amount of poison synergy stuff. Like Catalyst is gone, right? And so this sort of seems like Outbreak is kind of Catalyst, not really. Definitely not better in like a longer fight, but maybe in a shorter fight it's better. They're kind of like adding more actual synergy space to poison, which I don't mind. There was a whole video about it that was complaining about it not having really a whole lot of cool interactions. And I agree. I think it's a very boring design space currently, and it looks like they're trying to make attempts to change that. Nerf Wily Plans card cost increase from 1 to 0 to 2 to 1. I think this was like super warranted, very needed. Paying 0 energy to get Pyramid is a ridiculously broken effect. I will happily pay 2 to 1 energy to get that as well. And I think we should have learned from Spire 1, essentially. Having Wily Plans cost 0 is not okay. I think they already learned that and just immediately fixed this. Okay, change Echoing Slash card rarity decrease from rare to uncommon. Okay, so Silence getting a lot more AoE options. We have this new Outbreak card as well as Haze getting changed to like Crippling Cloud, and then Echoing Slash is just going to be picked up a lot more often now. In early game, this is just going to be slammed on sight. Kind of cool. We'll see. I think that overall, there's just a lot of buffs in this patch so far. Maybe there's going to be enemy changes down below or something to compensate. We'll see. Not sure. Okay, Regent. Reworked Regulate Relic. Whenever you create a card, gain 2 block. To the first time you create a card each turn, gain 6 block. So essentially having this become the old version of Pillar. And as I mentioned before, and noticed here as well, Pillar is reverted back to no longer just be once per turn. I think a lot of people complain. They just fixed it back. They just sort of swapped those effects, which I think is fair. This way, Regulite is not doing the exact same thing. Regulite early is going to be something like you can sort of just build around, slam your Spectrum Shift, block 6 a turn. That's really cool. Down below, we also have Terraforming buffs. Vigor increase from 6 to 8 to 7 to 10. This card is like never picked, and now maybe you actually can. Still kind of awkward, but overall, like this now just reads like 1 energy. In the worst case, deal like 7. Sometimes it can read a lot more than that. So that gets a lot more pickable, but I don't see myself generally slamming this all that often. We'll find out. Okay, change Pillar of Creation. Yeah, we already went over this. Buff Crush Under card damage increase from 7 to 8 to 8 to 9. This card was kind of desperation pick inside of Act 1. Which had some like beneficial effects inside of endgame that you were not so sad to see. So I don't mind this. It gets to be better at the job it's actually probably getting picked to do, which is damage in Act 1. And the rounding on these numbers is very important because with Vuln, and you do have it in your starter deck, this goes from 10 damage with Vuln to 12. So it's kind of like a 2 damage buff. Okay, Necrobinder, change Eidolon card. Can no longer be generated mid-combat. This was fixing, I think, a thing that let you go infinite with a bunch of Eidolons and just play your exhaust pile back over and over and over and scale Scythe. And I think they have fixed that. Okay, buff sacrifice card, block gain increase from double to triple Aussie's max HP. This card was hard to play before. This is a very, very big buff. If your Aussie is at like 7 HP after a bodyguard or 8, this is 1 energy block like 16, kind of. You have to account for the block you're losing from actually killing your Aussie off. And before, you basically need Aussie to be pretty high health for this to be worth it. Like, if you think about a 15 HP Aussie and playing this, you're blocking 30, but that's really like blocking 15. So 1 energy block 15 in its situational is not necessarily all that good. There's not very many hits where you need to really block a ton more than that. So I think this is pretty niche. Now it's going to be much, much better. And like 10 HP Aussie is blocking for 20 now. Feels very significant. Very good front-loaded block common as well. Or not common, but, you know. It's based on max HP. Yeah. But most of the time, like, you don't have a huge Aussie unless you are already sort of winning. Like, the max HP is not going to be super big. Okay, the Scythe card buff damage increase from 4 to 5 to 5 to 7. This card was already, like, pickable early. Now you can kind of slam it, like, end of Act 1, I think. You can scale this up pretty fast. The base number, even before the upgrade being increased, is very, very significant. Yeah, so the Scythe is going to be pickable later is the main thing. And if you get it early, it's going to be even more run winning. You could already like sort of one-shot people with this, especially if you got like, I don't know, the double damage enchantment on it later or whatever, like 50% damage increase, who knows, like vuln, lethality, whatever you want to put to amplify this damage. You have to remember that like any little bit of increase here, like a 2 damage increase, can be multiplied. So really that can be like a 4 damage increase every time you play it or something, depending on how you do it. Okay, Defect. Buffed Bias Cognition card. Focus increased from 4 to 5 to 5 to 6. This card is already pretty good, and now it's just insanely good. This is basically one extra turn before this becomes negative, which a lot of your fights are just going to end. They were already sort of ending, and now you can sort of just pick this, and it's super strong. It is an ancient card, so I think it is on par with like being an ancient reward. It feels fair to buff it, even though I think it was already kind of okay. Now it's just probably quite good. Okay, Refract card. Buff damage increase from 9 to 12 to 10 to 13. That is really strong. Refract is already pretty good. I don't know why. I think this is just some internal data of them seeing people not pick this card and maybe the win rate's bad and then upping numbers very, very slightly. This is 2 damage increase because it double hits, so not a huge increase, but that is pretty significant when Refract is your entire turn. And sometimes the difference between lethal or not means you take like 10 or more damage, right? You need to actually kill the enemy when you're playing this very often because you are not blocking alongside it very, very often. So the fact that you're going to get lethal thresholds is actually very, very meaningful. Nerfed Rocket Punch card. Whenever you create a status, reduce the card's cost to 0 energy until played. So whenever you create a status, reduce this card's cost by 1 energy until played. So I do have one question here. If this is working in the way that I think it is, where it reads this, and you can play 2 status cards and make it cost 0 again, it's still quite good. 1 energy to draw and deal a bunch of damage is totally fine. It doesn't completely neuter the card and like kill it. And the fact that it still works from like your draw pile and you don't have to actually draw, like that's really, really cool, right? Still insanely strong. I think was overall just really, really powerful, but has some very breakable stuff still. Just need a little bit more, but I overall think this is a really, really good way to nerf this card and make it still feel fair and playable. Okay, buff synchronized card, upgrade change, increase temp focus from 2 to 3, no longer exhaust. Why do we buff synchronize? This card was like insane. I don't know. Any frost at all, and this is blocking so much. Having it not exhaust, like that was very strong. You do want to loop this usually when you have it. I don't think this needed the buff at all. This was already blocking like a ton if you had any amount of frost, or you have any slots and like 2 or 3 frost and like 1 lightning orb. It doesn't take that much work to make this insanely good, and this will just block like for 30, 20, whatever. And the ceiling on it is so good. Like this can also scale damage is the other thing you have to remember. Like if you are scaling your lightning orbs, your dark orbs or glass orbs or whatever, that's really big. This was often an upgrade you needed to make before long fights, like in bosses, and now you just don't need to make it. So kind of disgusting. It's basically just giving you the upgrade for free, and that's sort of the darkness treatment in this game. Okay, user interface and experience general, added support for keyboard only mode, added a share button on the map screen which takes a screenshot of the entire map, added a listening for input pop-up when a player is remapping inputs or bindings, updated padding, font sizes, and color for input remap screen, updated input glyph positioning on various buttons, updated change profile button to render a large input glyph, updated keyboard mode glyph asset from placeholder to style match, adjusted hotkey icon size and position in top bar, updated generic selection reticle asset to improve contrast and resolution. That was a mouthful. It's now rendered very slightly smaller as well. If a binding is missing, a gray hyphen is now rendered rather than nothing in input settings. Users are now informed if Steam input is activated or not in a more explicit way. Scroll bar in settings screen is now placed better in non-standard aspect ratios. When using a controller, the game now always tries to initially hover a map node connected to your current one when you have Wing Boots Relic. Disabled left-right paging for SAD screen as achievement screen does not exist yet. Okay, multiplayer made the UI for joining a friend's run nicer looking. Tutor card now unends the target's turn if they have ended their turn. Removed waiting for players screen when dying to architect. Art added form visual effects, added portrait art for the following cards: Constellation, Blade Symphony, and Concoct, Tutor, Imitation Learning, Soulbound, Fate. Added beta portrait art for sidestep card, added fire to test subject burn animation. Writing, general. When the word potions shows up in option descriptions or relic descriptions, it is now gold and capitalized. Fix slow debuff power description not displaying its active multiplayer in the hover tip. Fix typos in abundance and Blade Symphony cards. Updated diamond diadem relics wording to be clear about how long its effect lasts. Okay, yeah, I think basically this gives you blur, the same effect that blur does. And I think a lot of people were confused and thought it was just barricade, and it's not. But I guess they have solved that. Okay, rename full keyboard to keyboard only. Localization, updated translations for various languages. Fixed translation errors in the following: French, Italian, Russian, Thai, Turkish, traditional Chinese. Bug fixes. Here we go. General, uncommon cards show up slightly more often as intended. Okay, that's really big. I wonder how much this actually is. Did anyone know about this? Because what the hell? I mean, runs might get easier just based on this if this is actually that significant. We have no way of really knowing, but uncommons are very good. Yeah, can we get an actual number on this, please? I really want to know. No point in talking about it unless we do, but that's kind of insane. We have no idea how much this matters. Players can no longer discern the shuffle order of cards in certain scenarios. The run history is now centered on ultra-wide screens. Fix an issue where an epic unlock earned at the end of a run could be lost, permanently blocking timeline progress. Affected saves are repaired on load. Fix an issue where leaving the game over a screen and mid-animation could award an epic unlock without spending the score that paid for it. Fix being able to controller navigate to card grid while inspecting a card in the compendium. Fixed opening the settings screen when a player would hit escape to close the potions pop-up. Enemies, Tough Egg can now have 1 more max HP. Does Millipede now correctly displays stats in the bestiary. Fixed error that occurred when Tough Egg would hatch in the bestiary. Events, fixed typo and Lantern Key event. Potions and relics. Bellow's relic now properly upgrades an extra card when Pendulum relic triggers on turn 1. Okay, so this is like relic ordering. I guess there's a lot of issues, I think, with this, or maybe not issues, but just nuance that there's a whole document to explain like the order that certain things trigger and when they are supposed to all happen at the same time. So when like multiple things read at the start of turn, this can be really confusing. And hopefully they're going to untangle a lot of these and make it more intuitive. We'll see. I think there's more than just this, but it's a good start. Fix dowsing missing card preview for abundance. Ironclad fixed juggling cards so that when your third attack also auto plays an attack, for example, upper card, juggling now properly copies the original attack instead of the auto played attack. What? Okay, I feel like this should work the other way, like the way it was working, or what? Oh no, it's when your third. Okay, so you play the third attack, and it plays a fourth attack, and it was copying the fourth. Okay, I understand. Never mind. Multiplayer, fixed chosen card getting stuck if another player gives you the Touch of Insanity potion. Feral card now puts the ball card into your hand instead of another player's. Imitation learning card no longer soft locks with replay, now ignores duplicate plays. Tutor card no longer soft locks with replay. Players can abandon runs outside of combat again. Modding the report bug button is no longer shown in error dialogues when any player in a session has mods. Okay, so we did not get Alt Act 2, which a lot of people were talking about maybe having happen. I think the biggest thing here is, one, the Ancients. Tez getting a lot of buffs here, and Nonu getting like slight reworks, as well as like a few other things here and there. A few of like the really, really bad things got buffed, which I think makes it so you're going to brick less often, but you were already not really bricking. Overall, don't know how to feel about this. I don't think it changes that much. The biggest one is the Toasty Mittens change, and that will probably just be quite good, especially if you have like Clad Feel No Pain or something. If you have actual exhaust energy, or if you just need a little bit of help into Aeon Glass, it's something you can think about. Just losing a card in your hand often doesn't matter. Very often you're not playing every card in your hand, and you don't care about burning them, so it can often just be a positive, and especially late game it will be. So that's something to keep your eye on. Other than that, I think the silent like poison rework is definitely pretty big. There's a lot of stuff that got changed here. Wall-Eyed Plan's notably very deservedly nerfed, which feels more in line with where the power level is supposed to be. Still a crazy effect, just sort of demands the upgrade now. Pillar of Creation back to usual. I think people wanted their dopamine, but overall I think this is just a lot of buffs. I am fairly excited and just sort of waiting for maybe Alt Act 3 and Alt Act 2, and most importantly Act 4. This doesn't change a whole lot for me, I think. Overall, it's probably moving in the right direction, but I do think that Act 4 is just going to change everything, and then all of this is going to have to get reworked, right? Like, if we're going to balance around Act 4, there's not much of a point of balancing now. So I think the systems in like the game that you want to be balancing the cards around should probably be addressed first. But maybe they'll find a way. I mean, I'm not a game designer, and I also didn't make like one of the most successful indie games of all time. So who knows what I know? I don't think I know anything, but it feels to me like Act 4 is probably should be worked on before we really start doing changes like these more significantly. But yeah, some fun changes. I think Silent overall is probably going to feel better. Whether or not it's stronger, I don't know. I think it probably is. And Regent is definitely stronger with these changes. Defect as well for some reason. Look like lots of buffs. Maybe people were like losing too much or complaining and not feeling good, but who knows? Who knows why they did this? They have internal data that we don't have. Yeah, not that huge of a patch. Like lots of card buffs and changes and stuff, but yeah, actually not that significant at all. So overall, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping for more actual content soon and not just balance changes. I do appreciate balance changes, but really looking forward to the new stuff that's going to be coming hopefully very soon. Okay, I think that wraps up the patch, and I will see you guys next time.